On the path of life, we all have our own unique destiny. The life of every soul has a heroic probability to manifest into its highest levels of abundance and joy, and to be filled with goodness and divine inspiration. That's why I created Awakening with Sarah. And it is my hope to be a guide for you on the journey, bringing powerful tools, helpful wisdom, healing music, and inspirational guests to nourish and bless your journey of awakening. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll be on to our episode. And in this episode, we will talk about the return to Divine Blueprint with Elaine Marie Rose, Lemurian High Priestess of the Rose, Divine Channel, Water Keeper, and Ascension Guide. And I'm so excited to have Elaine Marie Rose on the show today. So without further ado, here she is. Level. So thanks for being here today, Elaine. I'm really excited.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much, Sarah, for having me.
So I just, it's a blank slate for me. I don't know hardly anything about you. I attended two of Elaine's beautiful channeling. What would we call them? There's like a holy trinity of channelings that she's been doing, with the Lion's Gate being this final return of Lemuria and the Blue Rose tomorrow. And so I just know her in a professional capacity. Also, that she has come together in a beautiful partnership with one of my very best friends in the entire world, Tristan Jacobson, who I've never met in the physical, but is as close to me as my own breath.
Mm.
and
You third
so,
one.
mhm. And so, why don't we start by just tell us a bit about your path, where you were born, how the path has led you to the beautiful divine planetary priestess service that you do. I mean, took my breath away, that first channeling. And yeah. So tell us.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, it's so interesting how the modern ascension path is really, it's the path of the ordinary human, coming back into remembrance of their divinity. And the majority of my life was a very ordinary human 3D existence. And while I was raised in a Catholic household, I was always rebellious against that. I went to Catholic schools all the way through, even up in college. I went to an all-girls school, but knew that there was something off there from a very early time. And so the mysticism in Catholicism and the connection to Mother Mary, who's been with me my whole life, and Yeshua were very real. But I took a different path of I guess you could say, the very typical 3D intellectual kind of mental person,
Yeah.
studying a lot, going to school, graduate school, and just really the path of the mind. And would even have said at some points I might have called myself an atheist, or at least an agnostic. Like I was really pretty
Right.
aggressive towards, because I just saw what they were doing to people, and it just really
Mm.
didn't fit well with me. So I'm as surprised as anyone to now be in that position.
I know, we're the most surprised of all. Right?
Right?
Our own ego is like, what? I
How
was
did that
all set to
happen?
follow the mind, and now this, what's
Yeah.
this coming from left field? So, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Maryland. And I was born, it's funny when you look back at some of the beautiful symbols in your life. in Silver Spring because I'm
Oh
a water
my God.
priestess in Holy Cross Hospital. So it was a fun little
Yeah.
synchronicity in Maryland, which is Maryland. So
Maryland. Oh my goodness.
so that I wouldn't have ever put that together until later, but yeah, that's just a fun thing. Just a very typical blue collar family, working family. I was the first person to go to college in my family, had some distressing times in my childhood, was sexually abused, had some things going on, which is so common for many of
Hmm.
us in feminine bodies, which really that begins our journey, doesn't it? And towards as we move into the divine feminine of having to
Hmm.
move the healing process and how I still actually don't have a full memory of that because so many that I work with and myself included, even with all the access that has opened up in me, those memories just don't form when I was very, very young. But your
Right.
body remembers.
The body
The
remembers.
body knows everything and keeps the score. So, very many, many difficulties, with relationships throughout my life. I did get married in my mid 20s. I had two beautiful boys who are adults now and just lived a very typical life. And then, I would say in about, I don't know, 2008 or so, I just knew I needed to start healing myself. So I wouldn't call it a spiritual journey. I wasn't looking for spirituality. I was looking for healing and had a series of years where I just started to open to the healing path and self healing. But
Hmm.
then around 2010, 2012, something very out of the ordinary happened, and my entire 3D life got shut down.
And
Um,
how'd
my
that
career
come about?
ended unceremoniously,
Oh
and all of
dear.
a sudden, the Ascended Masters and Mother Mary, who's my life teacher, were showing up in my life all the time, and I just started getting communications from Ascended Masters teachings. I got sent all kinds of things, and just had this very fast awakening, and was put immediately on my ascension path. And so
Wow.
I kind of went from 0 to 125 in my journey, and it hasn't stopped actually since then. So it's been, I guess, coming up on 10, 12 years now of nonstop, and I haven't been back into the 3D world since then. I've been
Wow. I'm
to
just
live with my
sharing our
past.
video out here a bit. So
Yeah, go right
that's why
ahead.
I'm not looking. Hold on one
Oh
second.
no, go ahead.
And
So yeah, it,
so,
it was an
wow.
amazing, very, very quick awakening, and it's just been 100% full-time dedication to it since then.
Wow. And so, you were still in Maryland when you were in your career, and
No,
that's when
at
it.
that point, I moved to Colorado. I lived in Colorado for about 16 years, my most of my adult life. I moved there after college and worked there as a professional for over a decade and just had a very different experience. One thing that did open up for me, even though I wouldn't have characterized it as a spiritual experience, but this I had in my childhood was a very close connection to nature. And that
Hmm.
stayed with me my entire life. And so now to have that come around as a shamanic elemental priestess and a water priestess, it makes a lot of sense. Why I was
Yeah. Yeah.
always out in the woods, always outside as a child, and in Colorado, just constantly out in the wilderness, climbing 14ers and skiing and doing just everything that revolves around the outdoors when you live there. So that
Oh,
was
that's
beautiful.
that's cool. So, did your family move there, or did you move there independently? Was
I
after.
was married at that time, and so yeah, I mean, when I came twice, it was kind of disjointed. When I first came, I came as a single person, and then I got married and returned to Colorado and stayed there with my family for that period of time. But the marriage dissolved because I had a lot of issues from that trauma. I didn't even know I was abused actually until about halfway through my ascension process. I didn't realize that. So I got a very big training PhD, spiritual PhD in trauma
Uh-huh.
and healing
Yep.
sexual trauma, and that's become one of my specialty areas.
Yeah,
So
it's like the
many,
Chiron, right? The wounded
yes,
healer, right? We
yeah.
we we learn what we become, what becomes our service, right? I'm still
Mhm.
sort of trying to figure out what my service is. It's got to be something. about overcoming fear, overcoming despair,
Yeah. Yeah.
perseverance,
Yeah. Oh,
just perseverance, right? Because it's
big.
been, for me, it's been 40 years in the underworld, basically, with
Mm-hmm.
not really a role in this earth at all, because I
Mm-hmm.
carry the Mary Sophia daughters of Andromeda to earth. So that at the human level, that's the feeling of total outcast that
Yeah.
doesn't even ever incarnate
Oh,
on the
yeah.
planet. And only
Yeah.
now, like right now, pretty much, and as far as one of my galactic teachers is Lisa Renee, and that's been energetic synthesis. That community has helped me through some of the most far out experiences in my life. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, Lisa knows what's going on. Like in 2015, my right leg goes numb all the way through. And I'm like, do I go to the doctor? And my intuition's like, no, just write Lisa a letter. So I wrote her a
Mm.
little email and she goes, oh, yeah, that's your Armageddon future AI leg. It's made of 60% metal in the astral and the etheric. And you're starting to clear out the metallic AI.
Mm.
And that's why the leg's going numb. No doctor is going to be like, no,
No.
you're not going to go to a doctor. Right. And then another time when my Aquafarian, because I'm an Aquafairy human hybrid, and when my aqua from Andromeda, so from when my Andromedan genetics really started coming in, we have big wings. We have super, whether we're
Mm-hmm.
in our kind of more of an angelfish incarnation thing,
Mm-hmm.
or we're in this huge bird thing, we have really wide wings. And
Mm-hmm.
my arms started getting stretched. Like I'd just be like shopping, say at the market, or just whatever, doing any old thing. And it's like traction, my arms being just stretched. I'm like, ah! and
Wow.
so I talked to actually the angels of divine grace, my friend who channels them. They said, yes, beloved one, that is your Aquafairy code. You need to have a conversation with the code because, like, where the genetic code's being manufactured, which is in the masseter right here, is where it all
Mm-hmm.
gets made. It's like the human code, the Aquafairy code was generating more ticker tape than the human code, and that's when I go through the stretching. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to like have a conversation, slow down the Aquafairy code, slow it
Yeah.
down, and
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately, I was able to manage it. But
Mm.
who's going to tell me that? Like, no
Right.
doctor's going.
No.
So I mean, I'm so glad I've had these like inside angels and galactic resources to really understand, why being in this human body as me is such an extreme sport. I mean, it's a
It
total
is.
40
Sure.
years of absolute extreme sport.
Yeah.
And
It is. There's no question.
I
It
still
is.
don't know, like,
Sure.
right, like I still don't really know what my niche is, what my role is, what my as a in 3D realm, right? I still feel clueless at how that's actually going to clarify itself and manifest in a way that can financially support me.
Sure.
At 59, and
Yeah.
I've been in it since age 18, right?
Wow.
And it's like I've had a few forays. I taught school for 4 years on heavy duty antidepressants
Mm.
that just kind of numbed out the entire multidimensional body, right? And I taught school, and then I left LA and came to Oregon, and that was the big journey, kind of a hero's journey because I had panic attacks, agoraphobia. I was never going to be away from my mom for more than 2 hours, and my higher self says, "You're going to Portland."
Mm.
And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And then of course, the higher self gets what the higher self wants. You don't
Mm.
at the egoic level,
Right?
you right? You
Just back off.
yeah, it's like there's no driving the car. It's all being driven like from that
Yeah. Our job is
logos.
just to surrender and to non-resistance of that
Yeah,
that very
absolutely.
real fact.
Absolutely. Okay, so going back, a bit of a digression there. Um Going back to like that moment of the big, so the job ends, the career is like over. Tell us what happened then.
Well, as with all of us, when we get kind of thrown into our ascension process, it's physically just debilitating. So, I kind of moved around and had several experiences where I was able to just rest and heal. And, there was a time when my body was so debilitated I couldn't even go out for a walk. Like it was a very intense
Okay.
period of healing.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, my housemate. He was talking to my other housemate. It's raining men in my house. I swear to God. Right, like my inner child is still going through this like really like orphan experience because the Divine Mother in Andromeda, the circuitry is not on the planet yet. So I'm just like a
Mhm.
walking lost child most of the time these days, or a cognitive over intellectualizing grid worker trying to understand what's coming in. It's like, or that divine feminine of just resting in the now. But these guys, I always have, right now, we always have three men in here, no matter
Mm.
what. It
Well,
rotates.
it's the
Different ones
divine
come,
masculine. They're
different ones
surrounding
go. And I'm like, so I call it three men and a baby. That's our household, three men and a baby.
That sounds
So,
lovely.
anyway, so where were we? So, yeah, the ascension symptoms, and you got to rest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it just is what it is. That's everybody goes through it, and eventually got called to Colombia, which was a big surprise. I went and visited there for once, got called for about a month, and did a solo journey just of seclusion in the jungle in the northern coast on the Caribbean coast, and connected to the codes of Colombia, and was told, "You'll be back. This is a
Wow.
journey." And then a few years later, I had several starts and stops of little mini lives that happened through this whole decade, quite a few actually.
Ah,
And then, yeah, was sent down here exactly 6 years ago, and went through some of the most beautiful and most challenging initiations of
uh-huh.
my entire journey, including my twin flame is here and going through a very powerful and difficult journey with that. And um, yeah, really came into my own. And it was important because I was really separated from everyone and everything coming here. It was a complete isolation, which was needed. And it really incubated me into this empty vessel, being that could just hold these things that seem to move through. And that's the priestess path, to empty yourself
You
and
empty
become the
yourself.
vessel.
Yep.
So
Now, when you first started having like ascension symptoms, I mean, it's like a kind of a big term, but were you afraid? Did you have fear as like portals would open? Did portals open to like other aspects of yourself? Was it a real
I
multidimensional?
I wasn't afraid because I've been really closely guided and taught by the lineage of the Ascended Masters and the Great White Brother Sisterhood. And they've been with me very in close contact since the very beginning. And so they really were my teachers and guides the entire time. So I didn't ever feel alone,
Oh, that's so
you know.
beautiful.
Yeah, they were right there with me through the whole thing. And so with their teaching and their wisdom and their protection and just their integrity, the integrity of those master beings, and what they trained and how they prepared me for everything
Oh,
that I
so
needed to do. It was,
beautiful.
yeah, I wouldn't say fear. It was uncomfortable. I sure didn't,
Like
I
kind of
didn't like
stretching,
it. Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Dying a million deaths. I mean,
dying so many deaths. Yeah.
ascension is just a dying process, really.
Yeah,
You know,
because the egoic layers, right? They just have to keep
yeah,
dying. Like
yeah.
understanding that, we have the personality matrix, the soul matrix, the monadic matrix, and the avatar matrix. And
Mhm.
at each one of those matrices, the guardian of that matrix, like sort of the king of that, or king and queen of that matrix, are, in a certain, well, level of separation consciousness, right?
Mhm.
And so as we move like out of the personality into the soul, then the ego has to shed a lot
Mhm.
of its identity. It's just like, and then when you move from the soul to the monad, the ego has to die at a whole nother level. You're just like, haven't I died enough? I had I had like fire blasting through all the files in my brain for like
Mhm.
10 days now. Isn't it
Yeah.
enough? And I
Right.
hear, no, there's still
Still
more.
more.
We can't get
Yeah.
the monad in here. And so
Mhm.
you just, then I wonder, right now having COVID for a month, I know that there's all kinds of
Oh,
things.
absolutely. It's a chance for you to be still and recalibrate on a lot of levels, which is not
Yeah.
easy.
which I
Right.
can't. I'm like Miss Achievement, man. My
Mhm.
masculine's like achieve, achieve, achieve. Even after 40 years of the path of surrender, I'm still like, gotta make money. Let's see, I gotta
Mhm.
get on the social media. I gotta figure out a way. And the divine
Yeah.
feminine's like, you know what? You are the way.
Yeah.
You can't. You gotta. I guess that's something I'm really. Maybe that's what COVID's working on is that disconnect, perhaps between the masculine wanting to
Mhm.
follow this some kind of a straight path toward money,
Yeah.
and then this Andromedan universal logos planetary priestess, you know, that's completely surrendered to the embodiment of the highest love. And how do you be in one body with that? Like, how does that work, Elaine? Like,
It can be a little uncomfortable. I think Jesus referred to that as a house divided cannot stand.
uh huh, uh
And
huh.
that's our job is to get those two to understand one another.
Oh, and like I can tell you the awareness of the split. But
Yeah.
my cognitive is still like, oh no, I'm going to learn how to do that social media thing, and I'm going to, and it's almost like I have to let him follow that path
Yeah.
because there's nothing. He's not being offered anything else. My mom's not supporting us financially. Frank's retiring.
Hmm.
We're in lots of debt, and just barely maintaining without outside support. And here we are, and I'm not being I'm not being like, what's the word, like accessed as a healer or a teacher in any way. I'm not being paid money for anything that's my passion right
Hmm.
now. I'm sick. So it's just
Yeah.
this like,
Mhm.
and the social media ads keep saying, just learn this and you'll make 5,000 a month and you'll make
Mhm.
10,000 a month. So it's like, what,
Yeah.
I sort of understand that right now that's all my masculine has, except for radical. The other path is radical faith with absolutely no idea how.
Hmm. Absolutely. We all have to have a big dose of that because especially
Jeez.
now because the changes that are occurring now and what's ramping up towards the end of the year, they're unfathomable to our little human selves. And as I tap into that a bit in the field of that, it's we no one that claims to know really does. We're making our best little guesses out of our human self.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's beyond our comprehension and our human capabilities of
Yeah.
what we're shifting through.
Yep. And I mean, I think one of the things is like being an ascension guide and helping people as the multidimensional embodiment is coming online, so they can like just like call Sarah. Oh, this is happening in my body. Call Sarah, right? I want to be able to be like, you're not going crazy. I know that exact stage.
Mhm.
Because the yeah, we just don't know the level of transformation that's coming. And when I check in, it's like, okay, it's um when the first embodiers really start like embodying the diamond sun body, right, which is that full monadic and avatar Christos body of our
Mhm.
divine blueprint. And when there gets to be a critical mass of that, and then the earth is like her divine body is opening too, then one of the things Lisa Renee says is that there'll be these three sound tones that come from the core of the earth, which is the earth's rasha body. And there's a ta sound, a ma sound, and a ka sound. And when those three tones sound, and we have two of them, we have the ta and the ka, we just don't have the ma. The
Mm.
greatest damage has been in the eighth dimension where the ma is. And secret space program in the ninth dimension, there's just a lot of AI damage to the organic code of the earth, but it's all being, the God worlds are coming in and really cleaning out the AI, and purging it from the planet. Just like we're going through all these purging, and the planet's going all through this purging. But when that ma tone sounds, then Lisa says these neutrinos are going to come from the temple of Kemalohatea, which is the seventh, eighth, and ninth dimensional temple where Yeshua and Mary are holding those neutrino codes. And when those neutrinos are like released into the earth, like into the atmosphere from those three sounds, it's like everyone on earth will have an experience of unity consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
They won't stay there, right? A lot of people won't be able to hold it, but it will
Mm-hmm.
begin a dark night of the soul that for every single remaining human.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting because if you were gonna say what is a solar flash, it might look like something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Not what we think of as a solar flash, but it's a flash of enlightenment.
A flash of enlightenment. Yep. And
So you
so
can't go back once
can't
you
go
have
back.
enlightenment.
It's
You
almost like,
still got to go take the journey. You still got to go. You don't get to just step into the halls of enlightenment without taking the journey. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
exactly. And it's like that, almost like a near death experience, right?
Very
Because
much near death, yes.
you have all that incredible fusion of your masculine and feminine, in
Mm-hmm.
that unitive bliss. And then bam, you fall back to where your genetic code is, at its current level. And
And drat.
it's like, oh shit, oh my God. It's like
Yeah, I've
falling
had
on.
I've had several of those kinds of experiences, and everything opens up and you're like, woohoo, and then it doesn't
And
last,
then
and it kind of
bam.
drifts, fades out, and you're like, no.
Uh-huh. Right? Because it's self-limiting. To me,
Yeah.
it's like when the super conscious is invoking us forward into that next layer, right? It lights up all the DNA, like it grabs
Oh
hold
yeah.
of it
Yeah.
and it lights it up, but it's not integrated. You're going to have to
Right.
go
It's
back to
just
the
there.
hell
Yeah.
realms to
That's
build
right.
the vessel, that can actually hold it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's really just a flash, but a momentary experience of something, that a
Yeah.
reference point,
It's
right?
a reference point. Well, yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
it gives the one in time a map,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And then it lights up all the traumas between us and the completion of that map, right? And
Mm-hmm.
mine has been through romantic love exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the hierogamic union of lover and beloved is so encoded in romantic love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've fallen in love 28 times since
Mm-hmm.
1998. And I'm just now coming back from number 28. And I was married
Mm-hmm.
the whole time. Frank's like, how many more? And I'm like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Like number four, back in number four, it's like, wonder how many more of these. And our shaman was like, don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you're dealing with like this massive death spell of the damaged solar Christ Sophia dragon at the core, and then you're going all the way to avatar embodiment, accompanying the earth from total fear based to absolute love based. Your DNA is so fractured that
Yeah.
each one of those love affairs, which was not physical, I think two of them were, but most of them not, each one of those emotional love affairs grabbed onto a piece of the puzzle until and
Of
it's like
course.
in 2011 it was like, I think we're done. After 2012,
Mm-hmm.
2012 it was like there was one big one right before pole shift was prevented, and that was, I had to have that strength to help the mother hold her poles steady in 2012. So I had one last one in 2012 and I thought, oh, it's done. And for 11 years nothing. Then
Mm-hmm.
February of 2023,
Back
hello.
it comes.
Yep, and he was a movie star. It was a
Mm-hmm.
really wild, strange tour of duty, and I'm still kind of. Anyway, blah blah blah. I'm talking about myself so much. Let so you started. God, I love the way you were guided by the teachers, and you felt so held by them. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without that. I can't imagine having gone through this kind of an ascension process without having that deep, deep connection and guidance from them. It would be harrowing. I mean, just awful.
Yeah, well, look at here. Just look here. I
Yeah,
mean,
like just
I
fly by
had,
the seat of your pants, like
yep.
just mayhem.
Well, I had Lisa Renee, right? I had Lisa Renee. I remember as a substitute teacher in 2009, I was just at lunchtime, the kids were out in the yard. I was drawn to look on Galactic Free Press, which was the email that included a lot of different teachers and healers and speakers. And there was an article called "What in the Heck is Happening to Our Bodies?"
Mm.
And Lisa didn't swear, unlike me. I swear like a truck driver. So it was "What in the heck?" And I was like, oh, I need to read that. From that moment on, Lisa became literally like the mother of my entire ascension process. Like she could
Mhm.
tell me no matter how far out it was, she had the exact intel. Right? And then right around the same time, 2009, my friend introduced us to Pita Lynn, who channels the angels of divine grace. And then in 2005, I found my body talk practitioner, Lori Shad. So between Lori Shad, Pita Lynn, Pita Amber Lynn, and Lisa Renee, I was covered. But I still didn't have the connection to my higher spirit that could calm my fear. Right? It
Yeah.
was a journey of just terror. It still is. My body is just it has a lot of fear that it's processing. The whole satanic matrix is just all about, I like to call it the fear fuck factory. I mean, it's all about getting
It is. That's what
pulling
the
you into
app's
fear.
description. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so to become erect in this like self-sourcing divine love connection is the most radical thing you can do on a planet that's completely overtaken by fear. And so it's been the angels, it's been my body talk practitioner, and Lisa Renee, and I think, and people like you, like friends that I meet along the path, like, oh my goodness, a sister of the
Hmm.
rose. And I think what keeps me going is just, oh man, just the knowing that we're all coming together
Yeah.
and that we're birthing in concert with the heaven and the earth the love as we unite with one another is birthing the body of unity consciousness.
That's right.
And I want to be here to see that, because lots of times I feel like I just have to die. I can't do this anymore. I just
Yeah.
can't. I
Hmm.
can't. I just want to go home, take a
Yeah.
break. I'll come back in another time. Fine. And then
Hmm.
I'm told, and then I'm like, and then I hear this, but this is the greatest show
I know. Yeah,
anywhere in the
you're not going
planet.
anywhere.
I mean, this is where the lover and beloved and communities and building out the logos of unity by living in these islands of light and connecting the crystalline fabric, and vaporizing the whole Fibonacci spiral, which keeps the earth in lockdown as that crystalline spiral births, and the sense of like how every one of us is a cell in this global brain, and it's not an accident. You know what I mean? Like it's really like Tristan and you on Facebook getting connected. I mean, that's just a freaking miracle. I mean, let's talk a little bit. I mean, the soul traffic control of the Unity logos, it's not an accident, right? It knows you need to be there. You need
That's
to be
right.
there. And the logos right now is still filled with AI and invasive,
Sure.
software. So it has a hard time sending the instruction sets to us. But when
Hmm.
we really need an instruction set, we'll get it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, what would you say, like lesser instruction sets that are coming, like when that logos comes online and starts communicating the body of unity where everyone belongs with the earth, where we're supposed to live in Grass Valley, Kauai, and the Pacific Northwest. Like those are the three land masses where our core soul group um, is in maximum benefit and
Hmm.
exchange with the identity of the earth at that landmass. So I just love that. Just like the
Hmm.
heart cells are up here in the chest,
Hmm.
the tummy cells are down here in the tummy, that it's not an accident, that there's actually an organizing principle that will draw us all to our place on the body. And that's what excites me, is just running up to my beloveds in the meadow that I don't even
Hmm.
know and going, you, and then you, and
Right.
just like So that's, I mean, that's what helps me really stay.
Yeah,
It,
and you have to remember those beautiful parts that are, they're on their way and we don't know how, when, where exactly, but we do know that they're coming. And that's the faith that we have to
the
maintain,
faith,
even though we can't
yeah,
see it and we can't feel it. And it feels like, what? Like that's just not seeming to go in that direction, but it is. And,
yeah,
I have always, one of the things that I have to have the most gratitude for is the guidance that I have received to make major moves in my life as far as location and people and contracts and soul contracts. That has been crystal clear
that's
when I
so
needed to make,
beautiful.
yeah, when I needed to make big shifts. It just came dropped in literally like words like you need to go here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it was
yeah,
easy. It wasn't easy, any of that, like leaving, and coming to a foreign country by myself, and I didn't speak Spanish. And, there's been many of those of leaving homes, leaving partners, leaving different things, but it was just rock solid. And every time I followed it, it got clearer and clearer. So
that is
I just
so
have
beautiful.
so much gratitude about that. And so now, that's happening again. It's this
To
Columbia chapter,
Hawaii.
yeah, is ending,
Yay.
and the pointers are moving towards Hawaii, going back to the homeland. So now we're kind of gestating that and saying, okay, you're going to have to show us how that's going to come about,
How?
and
Right, right. You
trusting
get
it.
you get the instructions
Yeah,
and then you say, okay,
yeah,
how?
yeah, you
Yeah,
have to let go and let that piece come. So that's where we're at now, and it's exciting, but it's also, you just have to surrender
total
to the
surrender.
timing. Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the connection with Tristan. Like, how did that come about? Is it Tristan's one of my best friends on Facebook?
Mm.
I mean, I would go live, right? And there'd be like one person on my live. It
Aw.
was Tristan. And I didn't know him yet, but he was
Yeah.
there on every live. So we
Oh,
decided to like, get on the phone on Messenger and I said, "Why don't we just talk to each other? I
yeah.
want to know you." And so for the last, like, gosh, 5 years maybe, we've just been
Mhm.
best buds. So anyway,
Nice.
so tell me, and he was in Asheville at that time, right?
No, he was in Michigan actually.
Oh, he was in
Um,
Michigan. Wow,
yeah,
even further.
even
Yeah.
further. Yeah, we connected on Facebook, and he was doing a live, I think, is where I saw him about the divine masculine. And we just started talking, and it's soul recognition. You just fit together, and we ended up just being on the phone with each other, which I'm not a phone person, and just talking, or online or video for like hours a day. Like it was just such a natural flow. And we
Yeah.
both really felt it. And he had some challenges, of
A
limitations and
lot
where
of
he was on
things.
his
Yeah.
process and how he was going to get here. And then we weren't sure if it was going to happen. And then the divine just opened that right up and just got him like fluid water, just boop, brought
Yeah,
him right there.
sent
So
him money. We sent him money.
yeah, so it was beautiful. And now we're just, we're trusting that again, as a new gateway opens,
Yeah.
just to see, how and where and when that's going to take us. So we're
Hmm.
we're both just showing up.
And what was it like when you guys met in the physical? I want the love story. Da, 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 da. Not too much. I mean, no, no, you don't have to give me all the love story. But I mean that feeling of,
Yeah.
physically
Yes. I mean, you can't,
being,
it's like coming home is really the best way that
oh,
it just fits, it's like, it just, yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. It
you
it's
just
it's like coming
know.
home. Yeah, it's and having been through so many experiences because of the path that I had that did not feel like coming home and that were just so painful and awful and really challenging. And then to have that beautiful, just like, boop,
Yeah, home.
just like kind of effortless coming together. It was wow. It was just
Oh.
absolutely lovely.
The minute I saw you guys together, I was like, okay, something is right in the universe, right?
Yeah.
Another piece. It just was like, I was like, oh, how beautiful that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one thing I've had like all along since
Yeah.
1997. I've had Frank, my
Mm-hmm.
Frank. And
Mm-hmm.
Frank was not like this cataclysmic dopamine rush fantasy bond
Right.
thing like all my other loves in my life were like that.
Yeah.
It was like crash bang boom,
Mm-hmm.
dopamine, chemistry, oxytocin, let's make love.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? With Frank, it's like, no, I'm you can be my friend. I'm never gonna be anything more than friends with you. You know, it's not there. And then like 5 months later, my divine feminine is like, guess what? This
Mm.
is your, this is your partner for life. And my masculine's like, no, it's not. And the feminine's just like, this is your partner for life. This is your life partner, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
but, and I just went kicking and screaming. My masculine went just like, no, but my feminine owns the whole path,
Right.
our
Right.
priestess priest arrangement. And Frank's been just the source of he's replaced the mother while the mother's not on the planet. He's replaced the father while the father's not on the planet. He's
Mm-hmm.
been my inner child. We've given birth to 26 soul retrieval inner children. So we,
Mm.
we have a brood of like
Wow.
a lot of them, and so you're like, we didn't have children, physical children, but
Mhm.
it's it's been quite the incredible. He's that steady, calm, loving, like almost like priest of a masculine, so tender-hearted, and not
Mm.
the kind I'm attracted to, right? I'm attracted to like, "Ugh,"
Mm.
I'm the man, and I do this,
Yeah.
and Frank's, he was raised with three sisters, and just that, oh God, just that beautiful feminine. Like I call him Daddy Mama Dolphin because he has
Mm.
so many dolphin codes. And so
Yeah.
that watery womb
Mm.
incubation, the second the second I'm in his embrace, it's like, yeah, it's home, total
Mm.
home.
Yeah.
And,
And I found in my journey that the more what you would call polarized relationships that are healing us are really about our healing our instinct injury because we will be drawn to a polarized opposite that matches our wound. And so
yes, yeah,
I that's been my greatest learning in that experience that sometimes what we do call romantic love is really that polarization that you need to have that contrast of healing and it's going to speak to the wound more than it's going to speak to the wholeness and but it has its place and so
yeah.
yeah my definition of mature love has changed a lot in my journey of what we think it is and what
Oh,
the kind
yeah.
of story we get of what romantic love is and then what it actually may in fact be in a different kind of way of looking at it. So it's been really interesting that whole
It's
journey of learning about that.
it's
So
such a re-education,
yeah.
isn't it? It's
Hmm.
yeah, I mean the old, when you think about it, I don't know if it was the 1000s or the 1200s, but there was like the Tristan and Isolde,
Hmm.
kind of, what do you call
Yeah,
it, ethos, whatever, where they actually created this worship of the
uh-huh.
beloved that you couldn't have.
Exactly.
And that sense of the drama. And we look at every
Mhm.
movie out there,
Oh my gosh,
my
that archetype
Prince
plays out
Charming.
again, 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 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you gosh, and so well, for me, the masculine was very unavailable growing up. Both my brother and my dad, where all the imprinting of that big polarized masculine were.
Hmm.
My brother like rejected me at every level because I'm from the opposite side of the universe as he is.
Oh,
I
right.
love my brother. I love him dearly, and we have a good relationship, now. And but growing up, man, I was like a poisonous bug that he
Hmm.
was just swatting at, like, get away
Sure.
from me. And I had crushes on all his friends growing up, and so I'd just like hang out and watch them dig holes, because my girlfriends lived far away, and the really the only kids that were present were boys. So I just
Mm-hmm.
hung out and I was just like a pest. I mean, he just really rejected me. And my dad was like this Saturn moon, like super isolation introvert,
Mm-hmm.
unavailable, pretty much
Yeah.
unavailable,
Yeah.
except for my daddy was my spirit guide. So whenever
Mm-hmm.
I was in an emergency, his higher self would walk in,
Mm,
speak to me, and take me right across the emergency and then disappear. And my unavailable dad would still be there, would come
right.
in. But
Right.
what it was this feeling of real love with a man is someone who doesn't really want you.
Of course. Yeah. And that's the
Right?
injury that happens. It's the injury in our instinct that says, I'm going to go towards what's familiar, not what's actually good for me.
And so Frank comes in
Yes.
and everything, my divine
Yes.
feminine says, guess what?
Yep.
This is your real love.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade him for the world. I mean, I love him so much. And yeah,
We
anyway,
have to grow into it.
we grow into it. Yep. Well, I'm so glad you guys found each
Yes.
other. Yay! I love you, Tristan. I can't wait to meet you both in the physical in Hawaii. It's totally
Yes.
gonna happen. It's a done deal.
Absolutely.
So, do you want to talk a bit about your Lionsgate event and this
Sure.
return of Lemuria? I'd love to hear about that.
Well, it's been just so present. I'm a Blu-ray, and a water priestess, and clearly have was a star seed from Lemuria. So I've known that for quite a long time, but there's something new happening.
Yes.
And it truly is, I can only describe it as I feel it, that Lemuria, as we move through this massive transition, is literally returning.
Yeah, yeah. I hear that
And
it's actually
yes.
emerging.
And it will reemerge, that it is
Yep.
actually, as the frequency matches it, it will appear again, and whatever that looks like, feels like. And so there's just been this incredible pulsing. All I can say, this blue pulsing. The Order of the Blue Rose is active. The Masters of the Councils of the
It's
Miriam.
so blue, isn't it?
Oh my
Everything's
gosh, they're
blue.
just all over the place. It's like, and I literally feel this blue pulsing, just boom, like it's
See,
this
like,
homing device
look
just
at
coming
this.
out. Yes, there you go. There it
Irene. There's the sapphire,
Yes.
and then there's the us swimming with dolphins, and there's the
Yeah, it's
myrrh.
all
It's
there,
all my whole room is just like either dolphins or ocean
Yeah,
or
you know. And so it's
yeah.
just you can't deny it. That's what's alive in the field. And so was asked to do a summer series, just kind of touching into different points of the sacred, what they're called the sacred union codes.
Hmm.
And this is the final event in that series. You were able to participate in the first two, and the replays are available if anyone
I'll
wants to
be there. I'll
participate
be
in
there
the first two.
tomorrow,
So
and I'm
yeah, I'm just opening up because they clearly are saying we're here and it's time. And we're, serious, as is my heritage, starseed
yep,
heritage. And
Sirius
that's
B,
really,
right? That's
yeah,
yep.
that's the home state, the governing, center of the great central sun emanation. And they're coming home, they're coming back. And it's just, yeah, it's so palpable. I can't do anything but just, pulse with it and say, okay.
Yeah, the Andromedan core mother has really been so active with
Mhm.
the Earth since 2009 too, right? And that's the lineage. It's weird because we hail from all different places. It's
Oh,
hard to say
sure.
where's our home world,
Mhm.
and but a lot of what defines my mission in this lifetime is being an ambassador of Divine Mother. Like I even came in with
Oh, absolutely.
Aqua Fairy human hybrid code, which Lisa
Mhm.
says there's no one else on the planet who's ever hybridized Aquafarian and human genetics.
Mm.
And she's like, good luck. I
Oh,
was laughing. I mean, we had a session and she's like, this has never been done before, Sarah, but you seem to be doing it.
yeah.
That was her explanation. And she goes,
Yeah.
and it looks like you're on track when I see the timelines. And she goes, it's gonna be radical.
Mm.
Keep us posted. like, because no, this has not been done ever before. So just keep us posted. You're the prototype of this like really wild embodiment combination.
Mm.
And so I'm just like, okay, 40 years and still the wings are not fully grafted,
Yeah.
to the physical body, and the water, these super watery dolphin codes,
Hmm.
when the death spell DNA, where the prana just doesn't circulate in my body, comes and I feel like I'm dying, I just have to grab my little Bose speaker and I pulse these vibrations that wake up, that start blasting the AI metallic from the other dimensions, right, from other lifetimes. They like start blasting through these layers and then I can breathe. So I'm like sitting here with speakers on my stomach, on my solar plexus, and then my headphones playing dolphin sounds, and then just going and Frank sounding and toning like into my body, and then I can breathe.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it's all just
Wow.
another day as a
Day in
dolphin
the
again.
body of Sarah.
Yeah, and so it's a trip. And that was back in 2010. She's like, "Oh my God, it looks like you've got two genetic codes." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, you're an aquafairy human hybrid." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" Our conversations, were so funny in
Wow.
the beginning. And then she's like, "Well, this is the Andromedan mother-daughter Aquael code
Yep.
that has been completely divorced from the earth, and because you're hybridizing these genetics, you'll be able to path cut this return of the merge of Andromeda and Earth, and the merge of the mother and the daughter. So then you got
Mm-hmm.
Sirius as like the big brother, like the higher self, and then you got Andromeda as the mother. So it's like this,
Mm-hmm.
and the
It's quite a family.
Pleiadians are right there with us too,
Oh, sure. The
and the
Palladians have a
Arcturians
huge
are
space.
are
Oh,
with
so
us.
many different. Yeah. And then, the Venusian rose lineage it's all intertwined. I mean, you can't really
Yeah,
unravel it. They're all pieces and parts to it. It's just
so beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
it's whichever parts pulses at the moment and wants to has something to say that we listen to it. So,
Exactly. I used to call, like, when I would do channelings, I'd be like, I heard this voice say, just call yourself Sarah Sparkle and the Entourage. Because there's so many beings that come through and
yeah.
speaking in all different light language tongues. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Here come the fairies, here come the dragons, here come the
Yeah.
unicorns, here comes the Andromeda and the Syrian. It's like, oh, and I just sit back.
Everybody's there.
This whole committee is like wanting to speak, and I'm like, okay, okay, who's next? And then my ego is going, is any of this real? What am I
Hmm.
doing?
Oh, it is. It is. It
But
is.
you have such, when you channel, like, I really feel, oh, I'm just trying to breathe. The COVID's like in my lungs right now.
Mm,
I really feel a certain concreteness, like the masters that are with you, like they've been
mhm.
with you all along. For
Yeah.
me, it's not like that. I feel like I'm alone on this planet,
Mm,
but there's this cacophony of things I'm connected to.
sure.
And when I'm speaking or channeling, like I don't feel like I know exactly who that is who's coming through. It's more like I'm a waterfall,
Mm-hmm.
and all the frequencies that are up there are
Mm-hmm.
gathering to
Mm-hmm.
communicate, and then they spill out through my mouth. But I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell you this is Isis or this.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's like this
Mhm.
is this is the funnel of every.
Unified consciousness, source consciousness, and all its individuations.
Right. So I feel it makes you feel kind of, for me, at the human level, I don't like, there's a sort of unsettledness about it. Like, what is all this?
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, if you think about it, we're like crazy radios. I mean, we can tune into so many different
Yeah,
frequencies,
we're like
and
radios. Yeah.
yeah, we absolutely are. And so it's like, okay, which dial and who's really broadcasting, and where's it actually coming from? And part of the work that I did with the masters was they taught me how to tune into their unique frequency and light code so that I could tell who it was. And and honestly, when they do come through, they come through as a collective. But
Hmm.
they'll just put forward one of their frequencies as a spokesperson.
Yeah,
But
that
they're
makes
always
sense.
working as a collective. They're always unified together. And their energy, that's one of the main things they taught us is obviously when we're whole and we link to other whole parts of creation, there's no loss like we experience with the human where we can be fractured or deteriorated or harmed. So they're always connected, but and yet they're always holding their own unique frequency as well. So they kind of showed us how to feel that a little bit and to say, okay, this is just my unique frequency, and now we're all together, but I'm going to be, the one that's coming through as the spokesperson. Or so I don't ever experience them totally as individuals. It's so unified. It's like
Yeah,
this just this connected network of beautiful individuations that all have their masteries and their unique, very unique signature
yeah,
frequency.
so, so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yep. Oh my goodness, well, let's check out what time it is. Looks like, oh, so yeah, we've been on for like 46 minutes. Maybe we'll go on for a little bit more. Um,
sure.
so, you know what dawns on me as you're saying that is that have you ever like taught a class where you teach others to connect with the divine master frequencies so that they can, tune in at those levels? Or do you think that would work in a class?
Well, I mean, they kind of showed us how to do it. I haven't. That hasn't been something that I have done specifically.
When you say us, do you mean you and Tristan or you and
No, I always refer to my higher self.
your higher? I love it. Yeah, me and my higher self. Us. That's perfect.
Yeah, because I mean everything I do is her, she's driving the ship. She's steering the ship. So anything that comes through me comes as a direct inspiration from her and or a collection of the masters that really delivers it
Would
and
you
says
like
here
to
it
do
is.
a little channeling right now for us?
Sure, if you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I got an idea.
Okay.
I'll do some sound codes and then just to introduce and then
Yeah.
and you see who comes through on the wings of those sound codes. Okay.
Beautiful.
Let's see. Priyana takuri shitiyara tiri maharashtu kaharo tu mahashira irmekiatoro sharatierene.
Ik de oorlog onunuk ole eerstelijk oya. Eerstelijk oya nice. My higher self Lene Melehe Anna. Ishtak olonono struk oya ya ya. Beautiful ones. The time is near for the rapture. You are being swept into a liquid flow that is beyond your fathom. And although you hold tight and try to control the currents, this will not be possible. And this will create discomfort, in fact.
Yes.
Soften, soften your bodies into a field of deep trust.
Oh yeah.
Become like water that allows itself to flow as it is guided rather than resisting. And all will land into the pool of your highest and most beneficial creations. We are all here with you because I speak as we. We are a unified creation of Source. And our loving hands are guiding you. Have faith. Let go. And become the liquid light flow that you are. Eshasatuk onak alak ashtalok oyanak alak ashtaladik oyash. Heko oluk oya naishti. Bok oh getgalak ruk. Shuktelik yanuk oisha.
May I
Darkrai.
ask a question to this beautiful collective? Are you there, Elaine?
Mhm.
So I would ask, like, what about money?
They're all giggling.
Yeah, my teams are giggling too. They're like, yeah, well, that's the thing that makes you have to have radical faith.
Here's the answer. Beloved, do you not have all that you need in this moment? And is not abundance all around you?
It is.
Does your human self not see and feel something beyond or different than what true abundance actually may be, and you have forgotten? Is it
Absolutely.
not here right this moment?
Yes, it is. I've never lacked for anything. It's only projecting into the future unknown that creates any kind of illusion of lack. Can I just ask, I wanted to just ask about, I've had COVID for a month now, and I'm wondering what is the frequency that I need to achieve to really finish this tour of duty, and what can I do, psycho spiritually, physically, in all the ways to quicken the return of my radiant health.
I hear burn, burn, burn. You are burning away dross and density, more layers than you can fathom. And although it is painful and uncomfortable and you are impatient, it is,
That pretty much sums it up, yeah.
you are burning. That's what they keep saying. You are burning.
Okay. That makes, yeah. It makes sense because these viruses are such high frequencies, they're like elevators. They come in and they lift you and they burn everything off, and then they deliver you in this completely, much more purified truth of who you authentically are at that exit level, where they let you off. They start at like underwear in the basement, and they drop you off at like the highest floor, the angelic apparel.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Your wings are waiting.
It's hard because all my friends are going to sing and alive, and I love to sing in groups more than anything in the world, and I can't walk barely. I just barely walk to the kitchen or walk to the backyard, and everyone's leaving to go to sing and alive, and I'm like, no, I want to go. I'm not. Anyway, thank you so much for that, for the collective message and for the personal message. Burn, burn, burn. Disco Inferno.
Yeah, burn, baby.
Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. Burn, baby, burn.
That's your
Yeah.
theme song.
No fever, but I mean, I
Oh,
guess the virus.
it's burning, yeah.
It's
It's
burning,
burning.
burning, burning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Elaine, it's just been so beautiful. It's like when we got on the call, I'm like, I'm gonna be quiet and just let Elaine. And it's like there's so much in me that's like loves to connect and compare notes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's from all these lives of hermitage, kind of
Yeah.
preparing for this life, right? Like where
Mm-hmm.
we really lived in such hermitage, and in this life, it's like, oh my God, I gotta,
Right.
because you been in the cave, for like, I don't know how
Yeah.
many lifetimes, in the
Um,
Himalayan caves, preparing for this crazy thing that was going to happen in the future or whatever. And so, yeah, yeah. And for me, my Gemini's in the North Node, right, which is all
uh,
about communication, right?
yeah,
It's like, so pardon me for like just, I don't know. It's a sharing. It really is. Every
of
interview is like a
course.
sharing, right?
Yes,
'Cause-
absolutely.
But I hope that you got to know more about this beautiful, beautiful woman and this
Yes.
beautiful woman here, both of us.
Yes.
And you're just such a treasure and a gem, and
Mhm.
I'm
Thank
just so
you.
grateful for you. And
Mm.
is your website, is it ElaineMarieRose.com? Is it?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep,
that's very simple.
that's easy.
Cool, cool. And
Keep it
mine
simple,
is
right?
SarahHopeAdams.com. Mm,
Perfect.
yeah, the Hope Adams of resurrection, right?
Yeah, that's right. Keep that
So
hope because we all need it right now.
the hope is right. It's that driving beacon.
It's like our life draft, I think, a little bit.
It is really our life raft, isn't it? See, we'll
Yeah.
see. And so let's see. I haven't. I'll post this. Under this, I can post. I've actually got an event right before yours because my higher self was like, "You got to do an event. You got to
Yeah.
talk about some of the
Nice.
things that are, the body parts that are coming in, how they're coming in." I'm like a multidimensional mechanic. Okay, like this
Mhm.
body part is returning to this part of the body, and here are the symptoms. And
Nice.
and this body part is,
It's
you know,
important.
yeah. So, anyway, so yours is at, is it like is it 4 Pacific
It's your
Standard Time?
Pacific, it's 4. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and is that on your timeline? I'll post it in the details if you have like a link for it.
Yeah, I can send you a link.
I'll
And there'll be a
post.
replay because a lot of people, are on other side of the globe and they can't make it at that time. So
Oh, good,
makes it a
good.
little easier.
Yeah, and I'll have a replay too on
Yeah.
mine. So we'll
Mhm.
post both of our events in the comments under this video, and
Perfect.
you can have a Lionsgate marathon.
That's right. Just line them up all day, right?
And then of
It's
course,
not a bad idea that day. It's a powerful one. So
right,
yeah.
it's the peak, the
Mhm.
peak 8-8. Well, so are there any parting thoughts or anything you want to say? Any questions you have about me? I mean, I've been asking you questions and blabbing.
I would just thank you that we had such a nice opportunity to connect and to chat. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to anytime that we can find each other, and support each other and hold hands as we all go through this really bizarre,
Yeah.
really bizarre and amazing and fantastic and horrifying experience. It's all of it, at the
That
same
is
time.
so perfect. That's absolutely it.
Watching the castle burn down, you're like, wow, okay, the castle is totally burning down, and here we are. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what we all signed up for. So I think the more points of connection, like you said, we can make between each other to just keep calm, keep going,
And
keep holding each
remember
other's hands,
remember the family,
and
the
yeah,
family of the
yeah,
first sort of the first wave family of all
yeah,
the
right.
star seeds,
Yeah,
that can
we got
hold each
this.
other.
We got it. We got it. We
We
just,
got this.
that's part of, the Blu-ray for me is the warrior aspect of it of just like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a nest and it's on fire and okay, there it is. And we just, yep.
Yep.
It
And
is.
it's like
It's, yeah.
the first 4 days, the first like 5 days actually of COVID, it was like all the physical symptoms, and then it was like an emotional body enema of
Mhm.
processing like
Mhm.
all the
Yeah.
trauma I processed in the last 6 months in four
Yeah.
days. And I was like,
Huge.
something's got to give,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. I
You
know.
gotta slow down the
I
enema. Can you
know.
turn off the fresh water, please? There's too much feces coming out of here. I can't.
Right? Slow
Yeah,
it down, please. And
it's
we
just
can always ask, although it doesn't always work perfectly, but
I
we
did. I was
can.
like, I have a
Yeah.
friend who specializes in healing, trauma, and he's like, I called him on the phone. He's like, well, you got 3 biographicals, 3 generationals, and 2 soul losses. Where do you want to start? And
Yeah.
that's the amount of trauma, we process in like 3 weeks. was
5
coming in like
days. Yeah.
one day. And I'm just
Mhm.
like,
Wow.
my dear friend Michael St. John, if you ever need help with trauma clearing, he's
Mhm.
amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
So many
and
gifted souls are
so
here
many
for this journey. They are needed.
they are. All right, well, we let's I guess we'll sign off and
Yes.
we'll put our event details below this video and thank you so much, Elaine. Thanks for coming to this
Thank you,
planet.
beautiful. It's wonderful to be with you.
So glad you and Tristan found each other.
Yes.
Woohoo! Double date in
Ah,
Hawaii.
sounds
Yes.
perfect. Look forward to that.
All right, sweetheart. Well, I'll be on the event tomorrow, so I'll see
Yes,
you
we'll
at
see each
4.
other tomorrow. All
Okay.
right. Blessings, dear. Have a good one.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find all of the guest information as well as my contact information in the show notes. The musical selections for the intro and the outro were Let Yourself Be Awash in a Sea of Love and Mother Song. You can listen to and purchase these songs and more at sarahdams1.bandcamp.com. If you found value in today's content, please like and share, as it really helps support the continued production of this podcast. If you would like to schedule a free informational call with me, you can do that at calendly.com/SarahAdamsHealing/30 minutes. Many blessings, and we will see you in the next episode. Mother, flow the golden raindrops from your loving hand. Mother, feel me dance upon your warm brown land. Mother, blow the breezes of the springtime wind, for you are the light that breathes the breath in me.